The last picture of yours that we saw, that Woman Under the Influence. You know, one day you spoke about a film that I think it was about faces. That you said that it was much longer than it appeared on the final, cut. Now, in the case of Woman Under the Influence, was there any cut made, or was it the length that you intended? Because it's a longer film than your recent films.
I think as you get older, you get more complicated. Things that became very easy and had a rhythm and a very sharp way of looking at life alters. I begin to see many more sides. And how to take some philosophical intent. I mean, obviously you make your first film, and your first film is pure, and you're excited, and you're full of all kinds of constructive and destructive impulses, and you don't give a damn about anybody. And then by the second time around, you already know that it's a very difficult task, and by the third time, you must find a way to work something that you want to say. Something that you want to say that has to be said if the film is to have any meaning at all in some emotional terms. And it can't be emotional unless it has some philosophical content, I don't believe. And I don't cut the film to please anybody. As you if you can see the films, you know that I don't cut them to please anybody, but I cut them so that people can better understand what is human about the films and what relates to them, not only just what relates to me. Mm-hmm. Because all the films are personal and have something to do with the problem that I might have.
But financially, I believe Woman Under the Influence was also a kind of experiment. How do you go about making a $1 million picture outside the system, How was it financed? Did the actors have a share in the picture?
No, we do. Each picture is different. Faces we all shared. On shadows we shared. On Woman Under the Influence, the crew came in and worked for very little money, and the understanding, we don't have contracts, but the understanding is that if we make money, that we will give them some money, which we did. And if we make more money, we'll give them more money. So it's a question, really. I work with friends, work with people that I like, basically. And we're comfortable with one another, and we have the same intent in mind, to make the very best statement that we can make in a film. And hopefully it's theatrically exciting, and if it isn't, then it isn't. But our first feeling is that the film will have some feeling, and that it won't just be a silly attempt, because we're not making films really to make the next film. We're making that film, and I know that many of our friends that make films are worried about their continuity. They're worried about what's the next picture they're going to make, and they can't stand still for 2 or 3 years while they don't work. Well, we don't care that much. I mean, obviously we care, but we'll care after the film is finished, and not before it.
As an independent filmmaker, as a producer-director, how was the Woman Under the Influence financially mounted, the whole thing?
Peter, Jenna, and I put up all the money for the film, and that's how it was financed.
Like
this last picture we made, Killing of a Chinese Bookie, we just finished it with Gazara. I put up the money.
But do you meet specific problem as an independent filmmaker, working outside the system, outside the studios? Do you feel you have specific problems?
You mean financial problems? Yes.
Yeah, also distribution.
Everyone has financial problems, even dogs.
I want to go back to my question about this problem of cutting, because obviously you work with long sequences, blocks of film. The film is, I don't know, I saw the film this afternoon, and I don't remember how many sequences, but you have long sequences, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So, and I think that the ratio of what you film and the ratio of what you keep is rather great, that you shoot a lot. So are you just cutting complete sequences out of the movie, or are you trimming inside a sequence?
No, there are complete sequences cut out.
In the case of Women Under the Influence, for instance, was in terms of the script and what you shot and what you finally edited, what are the various changes or the evolution?
All right. There are, for instance, in Woman Under the Influence, there was sequences where Jenna and Peter, the husband and wife, were alone, and their personal relationship, and I loved what was happening between them. They were beautiful, lovely. They were lovely sequences. Sequences in the morning, talking about dreams that they had, their relationships, in the rain, taking a walk, finding out what these people were about. I don't know if I consciously or subconsciously never intended it for it to be there, but I always knew that it was giving the audience, and taking two people and selling them too much, making the audience. When I saw the picture in its full, complete cut, I was, while I loved the sequences, I thought, if these two people have such an incredible relationship, such an incredible close relationship, it seems to me that they would never get to this stage, and I couldn't believe any longer that the basic problem that existed between them would any longer exist. And I thought that it was, I think, a romantic desire on my part and the performer's part for it to be a real, a lasting, good relationship, that a romance. And it's not a romance totally, because marriage isn't a romance totally. It's a very sparse moments do you have time to be romantic in a marriage.
How long was the first rough cut that you had of the picture?
About 3 hours and 50 minutes.
I had the feeling while seeing this film that it was the film that was the most simple on the level of the storyline. In other words, I mean, it's a little arbitrary, but I think that in the other movies, Million Moscovich and Husbands and Faces, there are events that happen on the level of the social relationship, for instance, adultery, or husbands leaving their wives, going to London, or in Million Moscovich, a woman who is not married, getting married, and so on. Here is the simplest thing you have done. In other words, that everything, all the events are on the level of the emotions. There is almost no factual event in the film, in the sense of in a turn in life in terms of change of social condition, or I mean, everything is set at the beginning, and there is nothing happening except on the level of emotion.
I think that's true.
I think it was perhaps the boldest in that sense. The film was everything, the action was purely on the level of emotion.
Well, listen, everyone is, most everybody in the world at one time or the other is married or in love with someone. And we all realize the difficulties. I don't think we have to spell out the formality, the formal difficulties of any woman that's alone in the house, and or the problems of a man, or the problems of a woman. You don't have to really spell out what they go through, because everyone knows. So we deal with that as an assumption. I mean, physicists deal through assumptive reasoning today, and to reiterate, to retell what the problems are between a man and woman in terms of at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock he goes out of the house, and then he doesn't come home again till 6 o'clock, and then what does she do between 6 and then she meets friends and they play bridge, and go out and she goes shopping, and she has to get the children off, and then she has to clean the house, and she has to make, in the meantime she turns on television and she watches other people's lives, or she reads a book and sees that sex is real, or well, you know, I don't want to go through all that. We all know that. So the only thing is the conditions between a man and a woman who don't judge each other on the levels that that most people judge each other on, and who live together with great acceptance, more acceptance than I think most people. And still, the pain of their marriage, and the pain of the double cross, the pain of a woman being under the influence of a man, which isn't fair, but that's the way it is. You know, love has an influence. And if you love somebody, you want them to be proud of you, that you want them to love you, that you want them to take care of you, you want them to be romantic. You want so much from the person you love that it's an impossibility. And at times they crumble. And I think it's both. It happens to men and women. When you're in love with somebody, you also take them at times and put them in your pocket and forget about them and walk away. Have enormous confidence in the fact that they will always be there, and never consider their problems till suddenly that they exist. But a man is never jealous of a woman if she run down the street and take all her clothes off. He will never get upset. He will take care of the woman at that time until time will make it annoying. You know, the repetition of those acts. But in the beginning, he would be very understanding. And but if a man would catch a woman in a lie, in a simple lie, it would not even have to be an infidelity, in a lie, he would maybe not react in any specific way, but we would certainly take note and never forget that and not trust any longer. And the same thing with a woman. And then the enemy camps begin.
There is one question I kept asking myself when I saw a film at Cannes, is how much of the film was written and how much was improvised, you know, on the set. One really gets the feeling that filmmaking for you is more producing an event than reproducing one, you know. You see what I mean?
I'm just
creating a situation.
I'm so skilled that you don't see that. No, it's all written.
Everything is written, and all the dialogue has been written before. That's unbelievable.
Yes, but it wouldn't make any difference if it wasn't, because what we're really doing is dealing with thoughts and with feelings. And the hope is that the actors can feel that the material is not written. And when they do, then they can take their own time, which makes it appear to be improvised. They can do it with enough skill that it appears to be their own, rather than the author's, which is the hope.
But does it happen other times when you use unforeseen accidents or even pieces of dialogue that suddenly pop up in
except the lack of money, which creates accidents and, you know, creative accidents. I mean, but listen, you know, you're making a film. You just don't put the camera doesn't appear. And then, unbeknownst to us, we begin rolling, and suddenly people are doing things that are there. You know, and it's not the house didn't blow up. Nothing happened. It's quiet. It's really a quiet film filled with emotion.
Yes. No, but sometimes something happens. I mean, an amateur or a professional actor can suddenly have an idea, or you might have an idea of changing something at one moment of emotional intensity, and suddenly, you know, somebody has a gesture that was not.
I think it's personal taste on our part. I have tremendous respect for actors when they are people, and somebody will come to me and say, "Look, my character would never do this." I said, "Then don't do it. Don't do it. If you feel that it's wrong, don't do it. And if you feel it's right, do it." But you have no obligation to do that or to say that line if you don't feel like saying that. If you feel it interferes with the intention of what you're doing on an overall basis, why would I insist? For what reason? You know, so many times the lines would be left out because the actor would not feel all right about saying that particular thought or expressing that sentiment at that time. But I find that I've never seen an actor working on a picture of mine that ever lost a line, ever felt any pressure of saying it, because I say whatever you feel. They always ask me, can we say whatever we want? I say yes, and they always say the lines. And sometimes I don't know whether it's, you know, there are other cases. On Shadows we did improvise. On Husbands we did improvise half of the movie, approximately half of the movie. But that's because it was that particular kind of picture. On Woman Under the Influence, if you improvise that picture, it would be very difficult.
And Faces, was it?
No, it was all scripted.
Like this one, and like Miniman Moscovich too?
Yes.
Those are the three.
But I find absolutely no difference. I can't tell any difference.
No, we don't see any. I mean, we don't see any difference when we watch the film. We couldn't know that Husband was more improvised than this one.
No, you couldn't tell. But during the rehearsals, do you work on the characters? Are there times where you expand some character, build up a character? Are there changes at the time of a rehearsal, or do you keep to the script?
So a lot of times it would change if it doesn't work. I never feel it's the actor. If you have a good actor and suddenly the actor can't act any longer, there must be something wrong. And it must be the scene, it must be the writing or the words, or the intention isn't clear enough, and I don't feel that I'm perfect by any means. Taking very complicated ideas. I mean, every day I get up in the morning and I think, what the hell, I'm not so secure in my life that I can talk about everyone's marriage. You know, and give the answers, because I don't know any of the answers. One day you have an answer and the next day it's no damn good. So we go in there with the thought, and if all the thoughts correspond to what everyone feels is right, then we go ahead and we talk about it, we argue about it, and sometimes rewrite the entire sequence.
You rewrite?
You rewrite?
Yes, rewrite before we shoot it.
When do the rehearsals take place? I mean, do you meet the actors a long time before the starting of the picture, or?
Yes, we will get together and read. I believe that, you know, in most pictures, the actors that are in the films don't even meet each other. They don't know each other. I've been in films where I said, "Oh, were you in that film?" I was in the film. If we don't see the film, we don't know we're in the film together. You know? We don't share scenes together. We don't know where they're...
Even sometimes you share a scene and you don't know.
You don't know. Hopefully.
With editing, you can...
But we get together and we read for a number of weeks. You know, we meet on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night and get together and read the entire script, and then go, ooh. And it's different than when I first started. I mean, because the actors that I work with, I like them, they like me. Most of us have worked together before. And they will come to me and they will say, gee, I wish I had a scene of this. And I'll say, I don't know whether, let me think about it. And what else do you think? I'll even occasionally ask them to write down what they feel, because I don't understand what they're saying. And sometimes they come up with very, very good ideas.
Can you give an example of that?
Well, with Jenna always, she'll read a completed script and say, I hate that woman. Hate her, she's not, what is she doing? What does she wear? And I said, I mean, what does she wear? I don't give a damn at this stage what she wears, you know. She said, well, it's very important to me. I said, well, you're shallow and superficial, for Christ's sake, so shit what she wears.
Yeah.
And she'll say, no, it's very important to me because, listen, that's part of the woman. I mean, I want to know what this woman does and how she behaves. I mean, you're the superficial one. You tell me what she wears. I want to know if she goes to the beauty parlor. I want to know what you think about her. And then I said, well, I haven't thought about that. I'm sorry. I haven't thought about it. And then I go and start to think about it. And that will lead you to many. And in essence, what Jenna wore in the thing with the pink socks and her shoes and her mini skirts. And I did go, before we started the film, to many homes of working people. Maybe 30, 40, 50 homes. And knocked on the door and said, may I come in? And I didn't like what I had seen, and I knew what it was anyway. Electrical appliances and plastic, in America at least, plastic coverings of furniture, and very little in the house, much outside. The painting, the house always clean outside and painted, and inside, a nice car, a beautiful kitchen, and nothing else. Everything else is not to be sat on, or and very little art, very little interest in music. And once a week to go out to a restaurant like McDonald's and take the family out for a hamburger, and think, well, I'm an artist and I don't live this way. Somehow I must convert this into terms that are acceptable to me and still acceptable to the people we're talking about. So I found a house. I mean, the art director found a house. Feather Papa Michael found this place. He said, John, this is a wonderful place. And I looked at it. It was big. And these homes are not big. And it was just the opposite of all the things we just were talking about. And so we made it a house that was given by the mother and the father to this family, to Nick in the picture. And it seemed to work all right then, as long as it was a hand-me-down house, a house that was given to them. And so we could alter the reality without ever having to justify what it was, and I could believe it. And so when Feather started decorating this house, we talked about it, and nope, absolutely nothing on the walls. I don't want anything on the walls. He said, well, no. And then he comes and puts his additions. He said, no, this man plays softball, and he's an athletic man. He would play this, and he said, these awards are nice, and occasionally he'd put these little trophies that the man would have on the fireplace, and pictures of the children in the room, or pictures that the children had done. Nothing really to call attention to itself, but then each person begins to work, once they know the conditions, on their own thing. I mean, we discussed whether the house should be painted or should not be painted. So the front was painted, and the back was not painted. He never got, even though the man was in construction, and he certainly could have 3 or 4 men come over and help him paint the back of his house for a few beers. He didn't do that. He never got to that, and was always too busy with his family life. And as we saw it, we got more and more involved in the areas. And as we did that, then we came with that and offered that to the actors, and the actors then became more and more interested in how they should dress, what they should wear, how they should be, what the influence of money was on them, where the children slept, why they slept downstairs in the dining room. I mean, all these things were discussed, and they were not just my things. They were everyone's things. In that sense, it's a communal property.
What about the ethnic background of the family? You chose an Italian family.
Yeah.
And Why did you choose it Italian rather than, let's
Well,
say,
in
Greek
America,
or-
you know, the people in construction are black or Mexican on the West Coast, or Italian or Portuguese, and Irish, and that's predominantly the working class in America.
Yes, but did you have a particular knowledge of this group, or more than Portuguese, for instance, or probably?
No, sure, I've been in many Italian restaurants.
That's for the spaghetti scene. But,
No, I have many Italian friends, and I think I'm aware of Italian life.
Because you took a Jew in Milian Moscovich.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of taking the Greek community, or do you know the Greek community very well?
A little bit. A little bit. I don't think. I think the man could be anything. Really. The
No, but still,
family
it's
could be
important in the picture. I mean,
Don't you think it's
Yes.
precisely one of the influences too?
Yes, it's a conflicting. Her family is Swedish. The hell I don't know about anything about Swedes. I don't know anything more about Swedes than they know about Swedes. Than second or third generation Americans know about Swedes. They may know 3-4 words in Swedish and have a smorgasbord once a week, and that's their, and maybe some religious background or some old stories that they would know. But that's about all they know about Sweden, and have some quilts that were left. We're fantasizing to think that the American melting pot is anything like the European. It's not. It's such a conglomeration of everything. I mean, I know Italians that go to Italy and they're happy and everything else, but they're happier in America because that's their little Italy. And while they may all be together in a certain neighborhood where everyone speaks Italian or half Italian or broken Italian, or some of them will be from Venice, some of them will be from Sicily, some from Naples, whereas in Italy they wouldn't get along. Somebody from Naples and somebody from Sicily wouldn't get along. In America they would get along tremendously good because they would unify.
I mean, all your characters before this film were more or less unbalanced or neurotic, but it's the first film where you deal with a character who is really on the verge of kind of insanity or.
I'll be back about 8, huh?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll wait for them downstairs if you haven't finished.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, should I send Jenna down and have a drink with you?
That'd be good.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Fine.
All right.
Not right now because I have something to do. Well,
Why don't you ring up when you're...
I'll ring up when
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, it's a character which, well, it's very difficult to know. There is no borderline between sanity and insanity, but I mean, in the film, obviously the character, has lost really a balance. Now, was it different for you in the way of directing Gina, or because it was a case, a mental case, for instance, her gestures or attitudes and so on? Did you have to study cases like that? Because it's not like a psychological scene where people can have any kind of reaction. Did you do research or study on people who are going to
No.
mental
No.
hospitals and so on?
No, because I don't think it's about that.
It's not about that fundamentally, but on the outside there's...
Well, listen, I'm half crazy myself, and I think almost everyone is. I mean, we're all verging on some kind of insanity, except that from our posture we say that, everyone else is crazy, everyone else is wrong, everyone else is, so we all have our own truths. And my truth is that everyone else is crazy, and I'm saying, I believe very strongly that all women who are married for any length of time don't have, and if they love their husbands, they don't have any place to put their emotions. And that can drive them crazy. Now, other women find outlets for their life, and they go their own way and say, look, I must be more independent, and I must go this way, and they go. And but this particular woman, I don't think she's crazy. I think she's so totally devoted to the concept, to the idea that being a good wife means that there's a reciprocal thing somewhere, but she doesn't know quite what it is. And I think that she's not crazy. I think that she's just frustrated beyond belief. I think that she doesn't know what is right. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to do it. She's socially inept. And I think more than being crazy, I think she's socially inept. And emotionally inept. So that we look at that, and from our standpoint, she's at this spaghetti table and she's saying, I remember you, I remember your wife, I don't remember you, to the man that says, oh yes, don't you remember we were here? But everything that she does is in a way an expression of individuality. She's trying to be individual within the framework of something that no one can be that comfortable in, and no one really knows the way. I mean, I don't know whether you're married or not, but to know the way of behavior, none of us know that. We think we know it as we learn, you know, hello, how do you do? Friends come in, can I get you a drink? We're going to go to the movie. What the hell? What does all that mean? I mean, no one knows exactly how to do it. You do it your own way. You find your own way of being socially equipped to deal with other people. But it's not that easy.
Isn't it because the character, Gina, has to play so many parts all the time? You know, she's to be a good wife, she's to be
good
a
mother,
and she has to be good to be Nick's colleagues and so on.
Daughter-in-law.
She keeps playing parts. Socially, she has to keep playing parts, and there's so many of them that she finally cracks up. Don't you think it has a lot to do with this, the social environment and this?
I don't think she cracks up. I think that she never changes. I don't think that she ever changed. A man committed her. She was the same before she was committed. In fact, she was very lucid. I mean, I thought she was very, very, very plain, you know, direct, like women are much more direct than men, which is always offensive to men. I don't know for some damn reason. But we don't like to be told that we made a fool of ourselves. You know, and he made a fool of himself. So he came home and the kids were naked. Isn't that terrible? I mean, who was insane? I thought he was insane. To get, because he felt already from past experience that something was happening that wasn't happening. And he had her committed on that basis. Not on the basis that anything really happened. He got punched by a neighbor who was being driven crazy by a socially inept woman, you know, who wasn't doing anything wrong, took the children outside and played Swan Lake, and he was bored, wasn't he? He was uncomfortable and didn't know what to expect. And she didn't know how to entertain him, so she acted what we call crazy. But she didn't do anything wrong.
Just this sentence, you know, when she said to Nick, I can be anything you want, Nick, you know.
Yeah.
And then at the end, Nick says, be yourself, you know. So the whole contradiction between anything you want me to do, I'll do it, you know. And then the next scene, you see her jumping in bed, you know, and fantastic, sexy thing and so on. So don't you think the whole film is in this contradiction between
Yes.
You know.
It is, but I think that life is I think that any romance between a man and a woman, you know, is a contradiction, constantly. I don't know, maybe it isn't for anyone else. Maybe it isn't even for the French. It is for me. I've never seen, I think, one moment I think, this is the most wonderful life I've ever, I'm so happy, everything is going very well. In the next minute, I want to kill. Or somebody wants to kill me. And I do feel that's right. I do think that life is difficult. I don't think it's easy. And I think it's filled with mystery, the mystery of what's going to happen the next moment and how you're going to feel the next moment. Half of our life is mood. Explain that to me. Why do you feel moody? But people understand it. They say, get up. They can explain their mood by saying it's morning. I'm no good in the morning. Or somebody else says, I get tired at night after a hard day's work. Well, why do we understand that? You explain some logical explanation for that. I mean, somebody's terrible in the morning, very brutal or feeling terrible in the morning. And you can tell your mate, I'm sorry, it's just that it's early in the morning, I'm not good early in the morning. And everyone understands that. But I don't understand that. I mean, what does that mean? I don't feel well in the morning. It's silly.
But in the scenes, for instance, in the beginning of the picture, when they have this almost kind of code of gestures with each other, when
yes,
they make incredible gestures, and it's like a kind of language that they have together, and you feel that at once it looks rather an exceptional scene between them, a point of crisis, and at the same time that they have done that all the time together.
Yes.
Obviously this is not written. I mean, how do you come to this kind of this is improvisation or?
Everything in film is of the moment. I mean, it should be of the moment. The worst thing in the world. All right, you write a scene, and the words are there. So what are the people supposed to get there and just say, "Hello, how are you? I'm fine. I'm going to bed now. I'm going away now." Obviously, you have the two very fine actors in the picture, and they want more from their love story than just to say hello, goodbye, goodbye. Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me? So they choose. They make choices as actors. They make choices to love and expect something, or love and not expect anything, or to have an epic quality or not, to make demands or not, to be wrong in front of an audience that watches you or not. And out of this thing, they begin to believe one another. And as they begin to believe one another, they begin to express in the peculiar ways that these two people would have to express. The man is embarrassed by the woman having a peculiar behavior, right? Mm-hmm. At the same time, he likes it. But at the same time, he doesn't want her to display that peculiar behavior to anyone else. But at the same time, he invites everyone into the house where, at 7 o'clock in the morning, where she has to display her peculiar behavior. Mm-hmm. So it is a series of contradictions. And those series of contradictions, in order to play them, the actors themselves are trying to either go along with what they're doing and then they become frustrated. And in doing that, they begin to have their own language. And the language is written, but their gestures are not written. Their feelings are not written.
The fact that you have such changing moods must make it very difficult for the director, for yourself, on the set, to articulate, anything. Just saying, directing the actors. Do you have a lot of explaining to do just before the camera roll, or is the mood already set just by your relation with the actors, or by the long talks you had with them before starting shooting, or is there still some talking discussion between you and the actors just on the set, when the cameras are ready to roll?
I'm of the belief that anyone can act. No, I believe that anyone can be an actor, that can play a real person. Because I believe that anyone can make believe that they are this or that. I mean, from our childhood, we know that we can make believe that this is happening, that that's happening. You can't make believe and be told to play someone if someone says, no, that's wrong. So I would never tell an actor that they were wrong. I would never say that isn't my interpretation of the character. I would more rely upon that actor to interpret, to make his own interpretation or her own interpretation. If that actor or actress is lazy or doesn't take it seriously, I'll kill them. I would really take a knife or a gun or my fist and kill them. But in terms of their displaying, when Peter's mother came in and said to Jenna that she leaves the children hungry and naked in the streets and everything else, which is obviously shit. You know, and an attempt on her part to take the side of her son. His interpretation shocked me.
The children, especially in the last scenes, you know, when they race frantically around Peter Falk, how can you can't explain rationally to children what they have to do. How can you articulate what's all about, you know, to children?
I don't.
Put them in the mood.
I don't. I only think that I have only one talent as a director, and that is to try to set a mood up where people can behave as they would behave in a given situation. And I don't try to control the set. The set is sometimes quite noisy. The set is disorganized. The actors band together sometime against me and say, "The son of a bitch is never going to tell us anything." But he has something in mind. I have nothing in mind, except to see what they do. And I would never tell the children to protect, even though it was the intention of the script, to protect their mother. And they just, but I did try to set up with the actors the total belief that this was the mother and this was the father. And in doing that, they had their own interpretation of what they were going to do. And it was as mysterious to me as how it came about as, you know, might be to an audience, because they did it with such delicacy. And Peter, his determination was not for the children, but I never told him that. I never told him to take and do anything to the children that he would do in the most brutal terms. So he never knew that he did anything to the children, or that he had embarrassed them, or had hurt them, or that they had hurt him. He never knew it until the consequence scene, and then the consequence scene, then they just made other discoveries, and their life was rolling. The only thing I could do was shoot the picture in as much continuity as possible, so that it would be very difficult to shoot that last scene as the first scene in a movie. And that's one of the reasons I don't want to work with a major studio anymore, where they budget and schedule and
cut into slices,
because you couldn't do it, and there's no way of explaining that, because to them it's only a script, and you're the director, and you will be able to get that, you know, to make those things transpire. When Peter came out and he saw Jenna on the couch, he said, "Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't, you know, what do? I have to say, Mabel, get down from that couch. I mean, Jesus Christ. John, it's so tasteless." You know, and I said, "It'll be fine. Try it. If it's no good, I won't leave it." You know, and he started to do that, and the minute the children came there, then it became a reality for him. And he didn't have to worry about how self-conscious a moment it was. And it was difficult. You know, you come in one day, I mean, it's fine when it's in continuity, but you come in the next day, you say, "Hello, how are you? How are you?" And all of a sudden, Jenna's now on the couch, and he's coming out of the kitchen. It's a whole different day. That was yesterday, this is today. And it takes a tremendous amount of concentration. So I won't let people talk socially. They have no life outside of the life while they're working. After they're working, they can do whatever the hell they please. I don't want a family situation. I don't want too tight-knit a situation. I want them to be real. I want them to go live their life as they would live it. But while they're working, if we're working only 4 hours or 5 hours, I want a full concentration from them, because I worry that when the picture comes out, that they won't be fulfilled.
How many cameras did you have on the set of Woman Under the Influence?
Mainly one, but sometimes two.
For what particular, when do you want two cameras? When do you decide that you will have two cameras?
There's very little with two cameras in that picture.
I thought there were two cameras most of the time to have this kind of continuity, you know, not to lose any this fluidity.
Basically one. Mainly exteriors. When we shot exteriors, we shot with two. Very conventional. Nothing.
Did you do many takes, or?
As many as required. They vary. Some if the people are with it immediately, they come in immediately, then we do few takes. Sometimes, you know, it's very difficult to reveal not the good side of yourself, not the heroic side of yourself, but the side that you're not always proud of. And then there are things where actors cannot trust directors because they've been double-crossed many times by directors, and your performance doesn't stay the same performance, the same character. It's altered to fit the story. And I think it's more difficult to get people to trust you, that you will see what they are doing, you know, and that you will let them be what they are, what they convince themselves that they are. Otherwise, it becomes quite technical for them, and they just say their lines and protect themselves and always make choices that are quite positive in terms of their life, as they would in their life. But to reveal themselves and let qualities that they wouldn't want to be seen come out is difficult, and needs a great deal of trust between us. So I don't want to act that I'm disinterested in what they're doing, or have another actor behave in a manner that's social, that would in some way put that actor, get him feeling that I better not do something that might not seem social at this time. So I wouldn't allow any social talk, you know, conversation. What did you do last night? I went to the film. Oh, I saw Godfather 2. No.
There's something also that I kept thinking during the film is, how did you adjust the camera movement to the movements of your actors? How much the camera movements had been rehearsed or planned before the scene actually took place? You know.
The film seems more. I'm
Yeah.
just adding things. The film seems more controlled than anything of yours I have seen in terms of direction of
Camera
camera
work.
and so on. Were you conscious of that? Or?
I just think the story is quite simple. You know, I mean, it's complicated but simple. I wouldn't want to make a lot of cuts on that picture, because I don't think you would believe the picture or believe the emotions that would be stimulated by technical ideas. You know, so we set a camera up, knowing that they would have to play within the framework of this entire space, and try to light for the entire room and let them play. And I believe that, you know, if you're seeing something that's convincing, that it doesn't matter how you see it. I mean, it all becomes quite artistic if it's done, if the framing is wrong. If it's good, then it's artistic. If it's bad, then it's bad. I think that the quality of what you're seeing is more important than the quality of the way it is seen.
Well, in that case, I'm not so often. What I think is that the camera is a fantastic emotional part in the story too, in the telling of a story, and that the technique is not innocent. You know, it's not something innocent. It's not just filming what's on before the camera. But the camera itself is something to do. There's a relation between the characters and the camera.
Every director would shoot it differently. I mean, I don't know. I would only shoot it the way I feel I could best tell the action. I mean, anticipate what was going to happen, allow the actors to have as much freedom for themselves and not have so much camera movement that they, you know, the woman is going crazy. I mean, she's so disappointed and been so double-crossed that she doesn't know what to do. I mean, how can I take the camera and say, wait a minute, we're going to do this in cuts? I mean, it's an impossibility. It's too much to demand upon somebody to, you know, to convince herself. How can she convince herself? She can only convince herself through either one or two things, through repetition which gets dreary, the crew itself becomes her audience, you know, or his audience.
Mm-hmm.
If the crew is bored, then the actor feels that they're not doing well. It has nothing to do with me or what I feel. It's a setting up of circumstances. So I try to make everything happen quickly. You know? All right, so I know I have to be in to see something of the actors. Shoot with long lenses, pick a house that's long in advance, that has space and depth that doesn't squash everything. And everything was shot with either 3-inch lenses or wide-angle lenses that were put down so that they would seem that they were all of the same quality, so it wouldn't be disturbing. Whether it was good or bad, it doesn't really make any difference. As long as it is capturing the action.
But it's interesting that Bergman shooting scenes of a married life resorted to a very simple type of camera style, whereas in most of his other pictures he's much more elaborate in terms of artistic framing and so on. I mean, how do you think of the Bergman movie?
Well, yeah, in the first place, I loathe the concept that a film is made by framing or camera or anything. Don't believe it, and never have. I've never seen a good scene that wasn't exactly right. Any camera angle you have, every camera angle you have, I see shoot maybe 3, 4, 5 angles sometimes, 7, 10. They're all good if the scene is good. They all stink if the scene is bad. They're all terrible. I mean, so maybe I'm just not educated as to what it is. Obviously, to me, if something is psychological, you must see it happen. You must see it closely. If something is action, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. And if you get too tight during that time, you will miss the action unless it's psychological action. I really feel it's lighting, it's comfort of the home, it's being able to convince the audience as well as yourself that this is really happening. You know, I don't know that I've seen many pictures that are just terrible, that have brilliant technical approach, and then I question whether that's really brilliant technical approach. I've seen pictures that to me would be better misframed, horrible.
But this one I think is beautiful technically, because you're dealing with moods again, very tiny changing moods, and cinema is a big machinery, very heavy one. So I think the camera angles in your films are not just any camera angles, and they adjust to these moods.
Yes. That's what we try to do, rather than adjust the scenes. What I'm saying is that I don't try to adjust the scenes to the camera, but the camera to the scenes. So if the scenes are good, it's a question of seeing which is the best way we can see these scenes. Which is the best way to I know that we were overexposed, and I discussed it with Mitchell, you know, the lighting man, and he said, "Jesus, awfully hot. You know, some of those scenes are awfully hot." And I said, "Oh, it's quite sterile. It's a sterile mood. I don't mind it at all." He said, "I'm glad, because that would be, but it may not look so beautiful. You know, and some of it will look dreary and down and washed and I said, well, it seems right to me. And he said, yes, it seems right to me, too. And so it's a question of the degree of what you're trying to capture. If you know, I don't want to point to any particular picture, but it seems that French Connection was shot right. It was shot for the action. There was a particular scene where they made that dope bust uptown in Harlem Place, and it seemed real. And it was pushed 2 stops, obviously. Now, the two-stop push is not really good for every scene, but it was very good for that scene because it helped the reality. It helped you believe that it couldn't have been gotten any other way, that that scene was really happening. I thought it was really, in my mind, the most effective scene in the film, because it made you believe that these policemen were vulnerable, that the people in the bar where the bust was taking place were vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, to discuss whether it's a two-stop push or not a two-stop push is a technical thing that hasn't got any bearing. It was courageous to do the two-stop push because we all know that the laboratories don't want to do a two-stop push, you know, especially on a major film because they don't want to look bad. And it could look so much nicer if it wasn't a two-stop push, you know? Mm-hmm. But obviously in Kubrick's new film that a two-stop push wouldn't go, you know, if you're doing
a costume
melodrama.
Obviously, with the importance of actors, you must think of actors in the roles that you write. I mean, beforehand. I mean, when you write a script, you think of the actors who are going to, the main roles who are going to play them.
Sometimes, yes. It's always fortunate, yes.
For instance, Peter Falk.
If I know you're playing the part, I certainly would.
No, but for instance, this picture, did you think of Peter Falk?
It would be easier to know that who that character was, what you were capable of, especially if you knew the person, you knew the background.
Did you write it for Peter Falk, for instance? This movie?
No.
And for Gina Rowland?
Yes. Yes.
But were you exploring, because the three women characters she has played are very different, you know, I mean, from the prostitute in Faces and the girl who changes men all the time but finally gets settled, and the married woman. I mean, they are three. Were you trying to explore different...
Well, I think Jenna is a very great actress. I think she's a very great actress. And it's hard for me to say because I'm married to her. And
I think everybody agrees with you.
But she's capable of doing anything. She's a serious woman. She's serious. I mean, she has laughter and she has children and she lives her life. And she's not neurotic and she's not... she's a very simple woman who feels very deeply about things. And so it's a wonderful instrument to work with. I mean, she's...
But in other words, is the incentive to make a film a character or a situation? I mean, are you excited about, dealing with her type of character in Faces or Minnie or Mabel? Or is it the situation, of a kind of relationship?
It's a theme, I think, the thematic idea that intrigues me. We're going to do another film, Jen and I are going to do a film that is about an actress. And I wouldn't want to make a film about an actress unless the audience could understand what an actress was about. So it's a very exciting thing for us to approach. And I will talk with her about it, and we will discuss it, and I won't try to write it. And I'll put it together in my mind and tell her what I have, and say, geez, these are the problem. How the hell are we ever going to do this to make an audience understand what an actress is going through? And then we find ways of doing it, which are in the beginning divisive, and then later on we try to make it as real as possible. And then we'll I'll sit down and write the script of that, trying to encompass everything we've talked about. Obviously, when we sit there and talk, who's going to play the psychiatrist? Oh, yes, it has nothing to do with you. I don't want to talk to you about that. But who would play that other woman is something that is very important to her. So I wouldn't cast that part without having her discuss that, and approve that, and feel that that's right, because it would affect her performance. It would affect the way she plays. if she's talking about a psychiatrist, if she's talking about a policeman, or talking about an incidental character, has nothing to do with her. You know? But something that does affect somebody, I would want that person to have. I mean, in other words, if you were going to fall in love with somebody, and there's a love story between you and someone else, and we had to look for the girl, I would want you to like the girl. I would not want to pick a girl that I liked that you despised. It would be very difficult for you to play with that girl, because I don't have to fall in love with you, you do. You know, so I would try to, you know, go out and say, what do you think of her? No. And at the risk of being weak, or having people say, oh, you know, the actors push him around, or doing anything like that, I think it's important. I think it's terribly important that there's some rapport between people on the screen.
Do you have the same mixture of amateurs and professionals in this class?
Yes.
I mean,
A lot of amateurs, a lot of professionals.
so what does it? Why do you like this kind of chemistry?
I don't know. Some of it is ego, I suppose, and some of it is. Some of it keeps. I mean, Jenna and Peter are two super professional actors, and when they play with amateurs, it keeps them alive. You know, the professional actor has a tendency to disregard life a lot of times, and to consider their problems contain everything. You know, and sometimes it doesn't work that way. And in a more professional atmosphere, an actor will come in that has a small part, and it's just done for the convenience of the starring characters. And I don't like that, because it seems to me that the central characters are losing because they don't consider some minor character. So by using amateurs in that thing, and the amateur will come in, or the amateur will be a little nervous, or will say anything, or will look for more attention than the professional actor will. You know, but when that amateur gets it, they have such total belief that suddenly the professional actor sits up and says, wait a minute, I have to work like a son of a bitch to get this. And it's no longer a question of class system. That person has a small part, person has a big part. I like to set the idea that anyone can have a big part in the film. Anyone can have you do well, you'll have a bigger part. You don't do so well, you won't have a bigger part. And sometimes it won't have anything to do with you. Sometimes it's just the continuity of the story that won't allow you to be there. But if you're good, we'll do everything we can to keep you in, and you don't have to worry about Jenna, or you don't have to worry about Peter. Go kill them. You know, and
which roles are played? Which parts are played by amateurs in the last pic? I mean, in Woman. No, but I mean, among the main characters.
No, I would never say.
But I mean, people who have never played in films, are there?
Yes. In all the films, yeah. But I will say that, you know, now, because it's later, and Lynn Collin had never acted. The girl in Faces, who played the wife.
Yes.
And she's tremendous.
But since that she has played.
And now she's, you know, she's an actress. She's a professional actress. In fact, that was about 50-50, some 50% amateur and 50%
in a Woman too?
professional.
In the last one? In a Woman too also?
Yeah, so... Oh, I'm not saying that everyone is an amateur, because how can you say anyone is an amateur today? I mean, you're not... if you were put into a film, you're in a theatrical business where you talk about films all the time. So you are now an actor. Are you an amateur? I don't know what that means. Amateur what? You're an amateur actor. Amateur means that you don't get paid. In that sense, no, everyone's an amateur with me. To me, there are two different kinds of acting, and the acting of professional acting in Hollywood or television or Paris or is to take the script and to do a commendable job and to make everything work, and to make everything as believable as possible under the circumstances, and that's one kind of acting. And the other kind of acting is a creative interpretation, not for profit or for continuity, but to take a person and make someone's life more clear through feeling or through intelligence or through comedy or through whatever, but to make someone's life that has nothing to do with films. Say, I'm something like that person, to themselves. You know? There's something in me in that person. And it seems that if you can't at least achieve that much in playing somebody, then really there is nothing but the money and some newspaper stories or it becomes a faddish existence where suddenly you're there and you're a superstar and you're making $1 million or a hell of a lot of money for a picture. You don't know why, and you're worried about the tomorrow coming. And so when people say to you, you must do this, then you do it. And if you want to pay for your house that you bought that's too expensive for you to live in, then you do it. And you become, you're not an actor or an artist, you're a businessman.
It seemed that your films are also made in reaction to your acting career. I mean, in a way. That, in what sense? What did you learn from your acting career? In a negative way and in a positive way? I mean, to make your own films and to work with your actors. I mean, it comes from certain frustrations as an actor. Or...
Oh, I don't know. Listen, I never was considered, and I never considered myself a director until recently. I mean, only because I've done it now so many times, it's ridiculous and phony to say I'm not a director anymore. Obviously, that's what I do for a living, so I have to do it. I mean, I'm doing it as a profession now, not just a slumming. So, in the beginning, I felt I wanted to enjoy my work, whatever it was. I wanted to, if it was pain, I wanted to enjoy the pain of the work. I wanted to be with people that could share that, at least that one thing that we could have in common, that we want to do the best work that we can do. It didn't make any difference whether the picture is successful or not. Did we like the film? And then secondarily, was it a success in terms of did we make it emotionally clear enough for an audience to respond to that, or is it too tough for that audience? But there are two different views on making a film. I mean, I would say that most of my fellow friends and directors in California don't share that view. Mm-hmm. They want to make a good film. They want to make the best film they can make. I don't really want to make the best film I can make. I want to make a film that will please me, that will offset some of the feelings that I have, or that other people have. I want the actors to have good parts. I want people to express themselves with some dignity, even if they're making fools of themselves. I want them to. I would like to see a film with taste, rather than, I mean, even with bad taste. I want it to be acceptable, that it doesn't make me cringe. And this is a very tough film, A Woman. Mm-hmm. It's a very tough film. It's not an easy film to see. But I don't feel it's a film that doesn't have human taste. It's something that even if you don't understand it, you know it. Everyone will have a different opinion of this film. I know that. Mm-hmm. I know that because we had it open in America, and each person that comes to me says it's about something else, Mm-hmm. And but I really feel that everybody is basically associating their life in one way or the other with a film, because it's not a painful film in terms of destruction or anything, or violence. I mean, the degree of violence is minimal compared to any other film, and yet you do feel pain from that film. So it must be that people are feeling the same things we feel. There'll be times when I will steer an actor totally wrong. I have an idea and be excited about that idea and throw away my better judgment and just go along, and the actor will suck wind and join into that thing, and it'll be terrible. I can't let him be terrible or her be terrible. I have to be. I mean, I don't like to say it's my fault. You know, I don't want to say it's my fault, but it is. And I can't let that person feel the sense of failure. I mean, doing something that I've steered them into, even though it's very easy for me to stand behind. I have 50 people in a crew or 30 people in a crew, and they're standing behind me. They always think I'm right. It's easy for me to say that goddamn actor. You know, it's easy for me to throw my eyes up in the air and look bored and act like that person can't do a good job. You know? Well, what is that? I'll only destroy that person, make a real enemy out of that person, and kill all the dreams that that person has, and all our dreams too, you know, in an effort to defend myself. So I've never liked directors because I always see that they do that. And as an actor, I never like directors because they really don't have any vision in terms of human going back and forth. Look at all the actors that I've ever seen, that I've ever respected and liked, have always had problems. And once in a while, you find a director that really likes actors, and they don't have to be good. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. They don't have to be that good. They just have to be human, you know, with people. I mean, you come in and I say to you, you're going to act in the film. Now you're taken. I have to understand what's going to happen to you. If it's a professional film, you're going to be taken, and people are going to put powder on your face and comb your hair down and put you over here, wear this jacket, and the thing, by the time you walk on the stage, you don't know where the hell you are. You don't know whether to sit down, stand up, sit. All you want to know is you want to go to the director and say, what do I do? That's it. So you have that understanding. Because I know, I was there. I know that that's what's going to happen to you. That the assistant directors say, not yet, sit over there, please. Your ego is finished. You have no sense of confidence. You're going to die in the scene. You're going to start shaking, and your voice is going to quiver, and you're going to be terrible. So the thing to do is never to allow you to be placed in that situation if you're working. If you come in, I would never say you're going to have a wonderful time. I would kid you. I would say, you're going to act in the picture? Well, maybe you will, maybe, I don't know. Come on down tomorrow, I'll put you in the scene. Now, you could have 10 pages of dialogue, but I would never give you that dialogue, because what would you do that night? You would go crazy studying that dialogue. And you would come into, tomorrow I am going to kill, because you would have rehearsed it. It's impossible. You would have no way of studying it. So I would talk to you, I would tell you that, you know, this is what the situation is. You think you could pretend this and that. Don't say anything. And I would try to make you my friend, not to be phony with you, but and not to try to make you comfortable, but to put you on a level of a great actor, where you have to talk back and forth, communicate back and forth. And then I don't want to know what you're doing. Because if I know what you're doing, how can you make believe? You show me how you drink a glass of water or take a sip of your orange. Show me how you do that. That's disgusting for any person to say that to another person. You obviously know how to take a drink of water. I mean, what the hell are we talking about here? What kind of content is that? You mean to tell me that this is better than this, you know, or that there's a way to pick up a glass that you've done all your life? You get into a thing and the camera's here now. All right. Put your hand in here, and the camera's going to go up to there. Now you're trying to, all you can think of is your hand reaching in to the camera, and am I slow enough? Yes. Am I fast enough? By the time you get here, you're saying, your daughter just died. Yeah, wonderful. Shit. Impossible to make that. Impossible to do that. So just with the understanding that there are certain human problems, and certain unimportant problems that I believe anyone can do. Anyone can drink a glass of water, sit down in a scene and be comfortable. if you don't have to do anything that you wouldn't do. You're obviously going to be better than getting up and singing and doing a song that you don't like, that you would never do in your lifetime.